Guys, welcome back to Click Academics. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do long division. So right here, we have a problem, 1,288 divided by 23. And remember, division is essentially asking how many times can this number, the number that's being divided by, go into this number? How many times can 23 go into 1,288? And to solve this problem, well, let's first start with 1. Can 23 go into 1? No, it can't, because 23 is greater than 1, right? So we're going to put an x here, x right on top of 1. Now we're going to add the 2 on to our 1. So now this is 12. Can 23 go into 12? No, because 23 is still greater than 12. So now we're going to put an x right on top of our 2. Now we're going to add our 8 onto this number. So now we have 128. How many times can 23 go into 128? And 23 can actually go into 128, and it can go into 128 5 times. 23 times 5, that's going to be 115. So now that we have our number, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 128 with 115. We're going to subtract these two numbers. 8 minus 5 is 3, 2 minus 1 is 1, and 1 minus 0 is 0, so we don't put anything over there. So now we have 13 here. How many times can 23 go into 13? It can't. So what we're going to do is, now that we can't actually put an x anymore because we already have our first number. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop down our 8 here. We drop down our 8. So now we want to figure out how many times can 23 go into 138. And the answer to this is 6, because 138 divided by 23 is 6. And now let's check our work. 23 times 56, or sorry, 23 times 6, that's 138. And when we subtract these, we have 0. That means that we did this problem correctly and we have no remainders. So now let's try another problem. All right, so now we have this problem, 2,686 divided by 34. So remember, we start with our first digit here, 2. How many times can 34 go into 2? It can't, because 34 is greater than 2. So we're going to put an x on top of our 2. Now we're going to add the digit 6. So now we have 26. How many times can 34 go into 26? 34 is still greater than 26, so we're going to put an x on top of the 6. Now we're going to add in our 8 here. So now we have 268. How many times can 34 go into 268? The answer is actually 7. 7 is the most amount of times 34 can go into 268. And 34 times 7, that's going to be 238. So now that we have these two, we're going to subtract these two numbers. 8 minus 8 is 0, 6 minus 3 is 3, and 2 minus 2 is 0. I'm just going to leave it like is. And now we need to figure out how many times can 34 go into 30. It can't, because 34 is still greater than 30. And now remember, we can't add an x because we already have our first digit, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop down our 6 as a helping factor. So now, how many times can 34 go into 306? And the answer is 9, because 306 divided by 34 is 9. And 34 times 9, that's 386. So now we're going to subtract these two, and we have a remainder of 0. So 79 is our answer. 79 is the answer to 2,686 divided by 34. All right, so now let's do this problem, 3,594 divided by 32. So remember, we first look at our first digit, 3. How many times can 32 go into 3? It can't, because it's greater than 3, so we put an x on top of the 3. Then we're going to add in our 5 here. How many times can 32 go into 35? It can go into 35 once. And 32 times 1 is 32. So we're going to put a 32 here. And now we're going to subtract these two numbers. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. And how many times can 32 go into 3? It can't because it's greater than 3. So we're going to drop down our 9 here. Now, how many times can 32 go into 39? Once. So 32 times 1 is 32. 9 minus 2 is 7. And 3 minus 3 is 0. How many times can 32 go into 7? It can't because it's greater. So I'm going to drop down our 4 here. Now, how many times can 32 go into 74? It can go into it twice. 32 times 2 is 64. And now 74 minus 64, this is going to be 10. And now, as you can see, 32 can go into 10 because it's greater than 10. However, we still don't have anything to drop down. So what are we going to do? Well, the answer to this problem is simply 112 with a remainder of 10. This is our remainder. So this is 10, and it's our remainder. So our answer is 112 with a remainder. And that's how you do long division.